Chapter 10. Hail, Emperor! We about to die salute you. At the forum, the boys kept behind the pillars of the basilica and looked in all directions to make sure the ex-gladiator didn't surprise them again. "I hope that monster isn't lying in wait for us somewhere," Flavius said. "He has other things to do," Publius said, smirking. "It will take him hours to get rid of that honey." Before the Senate building, a herald announced so loudly that his call resounded across the square. "The shadow of the sun has reached the line at my feet. The noon hour has come." The forum, swarming with people, emptied quickly. Many went home to sleep, but most hurried to their favorite bathhouses or swimming halls, of which there were almost 200 in Rome. The operators of the countless stands and vending carts around packed up their wares. Ugly souvenirs, usually purchased just by foreigners, and other cheap knickknacks. Then they closed the shutters of their shops to take a long nap. The more fashionable stores on the side streets closed for the day soon afterward. Only the senators in the Senate had to keep going. By order of the emperor, they were not allowed to leave until the proposal for raising taxes had been voted on. Perhaps they were not unhappy about that, though, for it was cool in the Senate, while outdoors the sun burned down on the city. The pavement under the boys' sandals felt red-hot to them. Once on Long Street at last, they were able to walk in the shadow of the Viminal Hill. When they turned the corner at the 3rd Street, they saw the tall apartment buildings and also got their first sniff of mimosa. The farther they went, the more stupefying was the smell, so they could not possibly miss the soap factory. 3 laden smokehouses busily poured out clouds of smoke. Behind the palings of the loading platform, slaves filled up crates with boxes of soap. Diagonally across from the factory lay the mill Xanthippus spoke of. The boys heard horses snorting, whips cracking, and the millstones grinding. Mucius studied the houses on the other side attentively. On the sidewalks in front were mounds of filth. Garbage was piled up everywhere, and amidst it all were discarded pieces of broken furniture. Ragged little children played with noisy hilarity on the roadway, which didn't look much cleaner. The boys tossed leather balls to each other. The girls played skip rope. Others wore wreaths of flowers on their heads and danced around dances. Almost all of the houses had balconies decorated with flower boxes that were overflowing with geraniums and petunias. They stood out conspicuously against the signs of ruin all about them. Lines were strung from house to house, crisscrossing and hung with colorful laundry that flapped in the wind. 2 women were leaning out of their windows and staring curiously at the well-dressed boys down on the street. Directly above them, a woman dumped a pail of rinse water out, and they had to duck inside quickly to avoid getting splashed. "I don't like it here," Flavius said. "We're not here to have a good time," Mucius said. "Julius, can you see a cellar entrance in the house to the right of the mill?" "No, there's only a milk store and a butcher. Between them is a small workshop, though. The door is open." "There isn't a gladiator school anywhere around," Rufus said. "Xanthippus has made a fool of himself," Publius said, "so he isn't perfect either." "We'd better not shoot the bow behind the arrow," Mucius said. "Maybe it's the house to the left of the mill." They walked over but found no cellar entrance there and returned, disappointed, to the first house. They stood around for a while, uncertain of what to do. They were almost ready to give up and leave when they suddenly listened, spellbound. From the workshop came the sound of clanging swords, and somebody yelled stridently, "Hail, Emperor! We about to die salute you." Mucius ran over and looked into the workshop. The others followed and peered over his shoulders. A man with his back turned to them was standing in front of an anvil and pounding a huge hammer on a bent sword. He must be a smith who repaired swords. "Hail, Emperor! We about to die salute you," was shrieked again. Mucius broke into a laugh. A cage hung from the ceiling, and in it a parrot was hopping excitedly back and forth on its perch. It was gaping at the boys, with its head bent and crying repeatedly, "Hail, Emperor! We, about to die, salute you." "A parrot?" Flavia said. "Who would have imagined?" "And there are stairs to the cellar, too," Antonius burst out. Now the others saw, too, just inside the workshop to the right of the entrance was a stairway leading to a cellar. "Udo must have run down there when the smith happened to be out," Julius said. The boys stared uneasily at the man's broad back. He looked as big and strong as the maniac who had attacked them in the forum. Maybe the smith was an ex-gladiator too, and his friends had had him fix their swords. And it was probably from them that the parrot had learned the solemn salute to the emperor. "How are we going to get the cloak now?" Julius whispered, looking with dread at the smith. "You stay here at the door," Mucius said in an undertone. "You must cover my retreat. I'll sneak down to the cellar, and if I'm lucky, the man won't notice." He lost no time, but set off on tiptoe into the depths, bent on his mission. While he was gone, his friends held their breaths and didn't let the smith out of their sight. Mucius emerged nimbly, swinging Udo's rolled-up cloak in his hand with a triumphant flourish. At this moment, a woman with a broom in her hand came in through the back door. She caught sight of Mucius and bawled out, "Hey, Emus, help! That's the thief from last night!" She pounced on Mucius like a tigress, teased into madness, and swung her broom handle over his head. The smith turned with a baffled look and just stood beside his anvil as if rooted there. Mucius hurtled outside to his friends, the woman with the broom at his heels. "Stop the thief!" she screamed. "Hail, Emperor! We, about to die, salute you!" the parrot shrieked. "Quick, quick, Mucius!" his friends cried. They raced down the street with him, almost running over a throng of children, tore around the corner of Long Street, and kept on running until they ran out of breath. They ducked behind a wall of the Baths of Constantine and peered around the corner to make sure they weren't being pursued. "No one's in sight," Rufus said. Mucius rubbed his forehead. "Now I've caught a good one from the broom like Udo did," he said. "That's going to make a beautiful lump." "It doesn't matter," Publius said. "The main thing is you've got the cloak." "Give me the letter," Caius said. Mucius kneeled down, rolled open the cloak, and dug into the right-hand pocket. He produced a money purse. "All that's in this pocket is Udo's money," he muttered. He reached into the other pocket and pulled his hand out empty. "There's no letter in the cloak," he said, and looked at the others as if all were lost.